Hello and good morning for those of you joining us from the region. Good afternoon and good evening for those that are not. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I want to have a huge thanks to the ABG Academy and the ABG Group for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you. We're here to talk about AI and marketing. And I like the word demystified, and more importantly, why you should care. AI has been huge. Everybody's talking about it. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. But why? And how is that going to affect marketing? So my name is Basil. Ayass. I work at Google Cloud. And today I'm gonna, it's not a sales pitch whatsoever. We're just here to talk about the industry. And throughout my career, I've worked a lot in technology and cloud computing and AI, but also marketing. So I've done both tech and marketing. And I thought, why not have my inaugural LinkedIn live streaming today? It happens to be my birthday as well. Speaking about birthdays, we celebrated YouTube's 20th birthday the other week. And as part of that celebration, we watched the first video uploaded to YouTube. And it was about a cat walking in a park. But I'd love for AI to remind me in 20 years to watch this as my inaugural LinkedIn live stream. Because you don't know what? I have a retirement plan, and it's to do a lot more live streaming and a lot more audience engagement in my life, because this is what drives me. I love it. So without further ado, let's start. Let's check out. The times, they are a-changing. Anybody know where that comes from? I'm sure you recognize the words, but if you guessed an artist singing a song that looks like that, that's your first clue. Yes. Anybody know? All right. It is, you are absolutely right. For those that guessed Bob Dylan. So it's a song by Bob Dylan. And I was reminding of this on a recent flight. I was just flying in last night, actually, from London, and I watched a movie. And the movie was around Bob Dylan's life. So the really cool thing is that, I don't know if you've watched it. It's by Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton. It's called A Complete Unknown. And one of his iconic songs, Times They Are A-Changing. And they are absolutely changing. Now, why should you care? This was back in 1964. So you can imagine, throughout history, we've always felt that times are changing. So the questions on the side. Thank you so much, Wolfgang and Andrea, for my happy birthday. I will be replying to the comments as they come in. So let's keep it interactive, folks. Thank you very much. So why you should care is because this time around, I think it's a big one. So let's look at these eras throughout time. Print was huge when the printing press was invented. It really changed and revolutionized the world, the way we communicate, the way we learn, the way we sell, everything. And then, with the invention of electricity and going digital, that also entirely changed society. And many marketeers and many advertisers and many brands still struggle with that transition between print and digital, right? Now we have a new transition on our hands, and it's AI. So the fact that you're here and listening is a great sign, because you are ready to embrace change. Guess what? Many are not. Let's talk about a company or an entity or a business that did not embrace change. For those of you old enough to remember encyclopedias. Do you remember when we used to spend time in a living room as a family unit? Back in the 80s, not long ago, I think probably 90s as well. And I remember clearly growing up in my parents' house, we had an encyclopedia set in the living room. And every room in that, like every household, that, similar to, my bookcase, which is like the classic backdrop for today's world of Zoom and Google Meet. Back then, if you wanted to be taken seriously by society, you needed an encyclopedia in your house. And the funny thing is, there were encyclopedia salespeople that would come and knock on your door and sell you, A through Z, and each letter of the alphabet would have a different size book. But the problem is, once they've sold you the set, a year later or 2 years later, as information got updated, the set would become outdated. I like that. As the information got updated, the set will be outdated. What would happen is you can buy a subscription to the encyclopedia, and then you will get, 1988. And that will be a separate book to the A through Z books with all the updates of 88. And then you'll get a 1989 and then 1990. So you can imagine me as a student trying to learn about computers. I would go to the encyclopedia set in our house. Computers start with a C. So I will first pull out the C book and find computers and read the article on computers. But then what I need to do to get the latest information is open up the 1987 book, find if there's an entry on computers, read that, 1988 book, read that, 1989 book, read that, so on and so forth. Does not make sense. Print is dead. What happened to encyclopedias when print died? Remember a company called Britannica? Remember a company called Americana? Those are the ones I remember, Encyclopedia Americana and Encyclopedia Britannica. They're gone. They disappeared. They didn't move with the times. They went bankrupt. And then, the world of the computers came in and going digital. And the one here that I remember is, what was it? Microsoft's Encyclopedia. I forgot its name now. But yeah, Microsoft came out with encyclopedia CDs. And you'll buy the CD, you put it into your PC, and boom, you don't even need to open books. You don't need to search through paper. You can just type and the words come out. But that also died. Anybody remember the name of the Microsoft Encyclopedia that was so huge? And if you do, please share it on the comments. I'd love to hear. Hey, Nadeem, yo, back to you, sir. Yeah, if you remember the name of the Microsoft Encyclopedia, share it in the comments, and I'd let everybody know what I'm talking about. But CD-ROMs are dead. And that's why I don't remember the name of the Microsoft product, because guess what? Nobody uses it anymore. What happens now is the internet. Encarta, thank you so much, sir. Nadeem is on the money, but he's also showing his age, which is okay. So now we've got Wikipedia. Wikipedia isn't produced by Microsoft or Americana or Britannica, but it's constantly updated and it's live and it's amazing, right? So Wikipedia is what I call the new, open on the internet platform, and they're utilizing more and more AI now because Wikipedia is crowdsourced. So anybody in the world today can go in and edit the article on the Israel-Palestinian conflict. And you can imagine how many edits it gets a day. And you can imagine how conflicting the information is. So what Wikipedia is starting to do is use AI to determine, if it is a valid edit or a controversial edit. And controversial edits then don't make it onto the platform. So moving on, the idea here is that with this transition of print to digital to AI, the encyclopedia business lost a lot and had to deal with a lot of bankruptcies. Now, what's a company that went through the same transition and has not gone bankrupt? In fact, it's flourished. One such company that I love is Nintendo. Many of you don't know. You probably know Nintendo from your kids' gaming or maybe your own gaming past. But Nintendo started in 1889. For those of you that are good in math, that is more than 100 years ago. It's 100 136 years ago. And they are still flourishing. They're still a brand name that we use on a daily basis in the news and at homes and on schools' playgrounds. And Nintendo understands valuing change. So when they started in 1889, they were printing cards, like playing cards, collector cards. And their job was to print cards and sell those cards to people that want to get entertained. When the digital revolution came about, did they stick to printing cards? Or did they embrace the digital world? And they said, oh, how can we entertain people? But now that print is no longer relevant as much as it used to be, let's explore this whole computer, consoles, gaming, digital world. And they created the Nintendo, and then the Super Nintendo, and then the Nintendo 64, and so on and so forth, until now we've got the Switches and all the latest and greatest Nintendo products. But they didn't stop there, because now with the world moving into an AI world, guess what they created? Did they stick to, oh man, we are the #1 console provider in the world. We provide the best hardware. You know, we hate phones. Everybody's carrying them around. And you can play games on your phone. We don't like that. Let's not play games on your phone. You guys need to use our console. No, they did not. They changed with the times. And that's a picture for those of you that are gamers. You know what that picture is of? It is none other than Pokemon Go. And they're using AI to use your camera on your phone, use your location from your phone, and have hordes and hordes of people all around the world play a game, an immersive game, an augmented reality game that can embed pictures onto your camera in real life. And it's crazy how popular this game is and how long it's been around, and people to this day still use it. So Nintendo, an example of a company that embraced change and continues to flourish. Encyclopedias, an example of an industry that did not embrace change and continues to deal with bankruptcies and irrelevancies. That's one important point I make. And why I make that point is transformation is a mindset. So today, there is a danger in sticking to how we do business. You personally out there listening in, if you wake up in the morning and say, no, that is not how I conduct myself. No, that is not how I write emails. No, that is not how I shoot an advertisement. No, that is not how I brainstorm for content on the web. You are in danger of becoming irrelevant. The idea is that we have to remember and be guided by on a minute-by-minute basis on why we do what we do. So why do I write emails? To communicate with others. So it doesn't matter how I write them. It matters that I'm writing them. Why do I shoot advertisements and put them on TV for those 30-second slots? Is because I want to attract people to my brand. So it doesn't matter how I get the 30-second movie, you know, hiring a director, writing a script, approving the dialogue, casting, shooting, production, post-production, doesn't matter. That was how we did it. We might continue doing it, but as long as we remember why we do it, we'll be more flexible on the how. And as long as you are more flexible on the how, you're going to utilize more and more AI, you're going to utilize more and more technology, and you are going to thrive and grow in this new world that we live in. Does that resonate? I'm not getting many comments. Please let me know if this is making sense, or and if anybody disagrees, I'd love to talk about that. All right. So just as an example, Google's mission, I think Google is a company, my employer is a company that's a great example of how they live their mission, and their mission is their why. So Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. This has been going on for 20 years plus. Google started out as a search company. Today, Google has a huge host of products, well beyond search. Now, many people know search, But a lot of people are using YouTube. A lot of people are using Google Drive and Google Play and Android and Maps and Gmail. You might not know, but we today have more than 10 products with 1 billion users each. So the products are the how. And a lot of people, in the press, they write articles. Oh, Google pulls out of Google Plus. Google sunsets their blah, blah. And it's as if they are laying claim and they are, they're unhappy with the way Google conducts its business because we keep pulling out of things. And the idea is that it doesn't matter. The products are the how. As long as we're sticking to the why, that's what matters. And if products don't work, if they are not successful, maybe they are successful, but not at the scale that is required for them to be successful, guess what? We will pull out of them. The products are the how. And that's why we went from search engines to today with Waymo. And if you don't know about Waymo, please look it up. I don't have enough time to go into it, but Waymo is mind-blowing. It's the self-driving cars. They've been driving for years. In the US, they have like 4 cities, and we just expanded to Japan, and we're moving into Europe soon. It's like an Uber, but without a driver. And it exists today. Not some future, not some promise, not some ad. It's reality. That's how we embrace the why. And that's how this company has transformed so much in all the years that it's been operational. So let's talk about you. We are in an AI-driven revolution, similar to the power of steam and electricity and IT over the past 300 years. Every 100 years or so, there's like this huge revolution that really, challenges the very fabric of our society. And today, I truly believe, deep down inside, I'm a believer, sticking to our theme of song lyrics, artificial intelligence, AI, is going to be such a strong disruptor of our society. It's going to change everything. Similar to how, can you imagine the world before computers and the world after computers? Or the world before electricity and the world after electricity? Or even, the world before steam power and the world after steam power. That's the scale. That's how I believe the strength and the power of AI to transform. So it's an exponential trend. And I'll give you a little tidbit here, and I really enjoy this. For those of you from India, there's a story around the invention of chess, shatranj. And the idea is that the ruler of India he preferred chess to backgammon. So he wanted to reward the inventor of chess. And the inventor of chess, the fable goes, came in very humble. And he asked for, he's like, what? How can I reward you? You can imagine the inventor of chess is a wise man, and he's like full-on mathematician. So what else would you expect from the creator of chess, right? So the wise man appeared humble, and he said, dear ruler, I just want 1 grain of rice for the bait, they call it, the square on chess, and double it for the next one, and double it for the next one until the chessboard is finished. The ruler said, wow, that's a humble request. Of course, you might have that rice. But do you know how much rice the inventor of chess apparently asked for? The crazy bit is not the human brain. It is very difficult for the human brain to imagine the power of exponential growth. So for the entire chessboard, for those of you that are good at math, it is a ridiculously large number. So that amount of wheat or grass, is in the trillions and quintillions of grains of wheat and tons of wheat. What he asked for is over 1,600 times the global production of wheat. So Earth producing wheat on an annual basis, it has to run for 1,600 years, and the inventor of chess for the next 1,600 years now owns all global production of wheat. That's the power of exponential growth. And for those of you that are more in the tech world, there's a saying, and the saying goes something like the second half of the chessboard. So a lot of IT companies and tech companies talk about the second half of the chessboard. So that saying is derived from this story, because the idea is that as we're starting up, as we're growing, the first half of the chessboard is manageable. A chessboard is 8 by 8, 64 baits. The first half, 32 baits. We can grow to 32. I think 2 to 32 is around like 1 million grains of grass. Actually, it's right there, sorry, 4 billion grains of grass. However, and which is 279 tons of wheat, which is fine. But you know what is the second half of the chessboard? How much rice or wheat will be on the second half of the chessboard? Come on, any guesses? So the crazy number is the second half of the chessboard is 4 billion times larger than the first half of the chessboard. So if we make an assumption that with the AI growth that we've seen in the past 1 or 2 years, we've reached today, in the next 2 years, we're going to be 4 billion times more advanced in AI. And think of that. Think of how that affects your job. Think of that, how that affects your children's education choices. Think of that, how it affects advertising and marketing and branding. Think of it, how it affects human productivity and, the consciousness of this world. Sticking to our theme of entertainment, one of my favorite movies is a Disney movie where they show humanity has left the earth and humanity has lived on a spaceship and they have robots left on earth cleaning the earth. Anybody remember that movie? It's one of my favorites because it was really before its time, and that movie really puts into perspective what might happen of the human race when robots take over or AI takes over. Because when we no longer have jobs, what are we going to do? So we end up in wheelchairs. We end up with huge cups sitting in our wheelchairs, and we end up with a huge immersive 3-dimensional screen in front of us, and we're just like zombies eating and consuming entertainment all day long. So I love it. All right, so, AI is exponential, absolutely. So computers today are 4 billion times more powerful than they were in the 1960s. In 2 years, they will be 8 billion times more powerful. TPUs are tensor processing units. These are like the brains of a computer. If a CPU is made by Intel or AMD. Then there are GPUs. GPUs are graphical processing units. They're good not only with numbers, but also with graphics. And those are very helpful for AI. And those are made by like NVIDIA and others. But then there are TPUs. TPUs are made by Google, and they are tensor processing units. Today's TPUs can train an ML. It used to take us a day, like 2 years ago. That same ML model can be trained now in 30 minutes. That's the speed at which technology is advancing. And you've all heard of quantum computing. Quantum computing is coming. It's not ready yet, not ready for prime time, but quantum computing will bring us 100 million times faster. Things that would take 10,000 years to do today can be done in mere seconds with quantum computing. That's the power of technology. Wally, thank you so much, Katrina, and another LinkedIn user, you guys got it right. Wally. Okay, so let's go to the basics. What is AI? AI as a whole is the concept where machines mimic human behavior. That's the word. That's what technically AI means. What is human behavior? Human behavior is all about sensing, reasoning, creating, engaging, right? Machine learning is a subset of AI, and that's when we use statistical and mathematical models to help improve machines learn. Deep learning is a subset of that, where we're using neural networks, and generative AI is yet another subset of that, where it's an approach to deep learning, which is an approach to machine learning, which is an approach to artificial intelligence, where we use a large amount of data to train a model that can then help us generate new data and new samples and new content. And this is what you all know on your daily usage of ChatGPT and Gemini from Google, but also, all the apps around creating photos, creating videos, creating slides, creating emails. All of that is generative AI. Now, consumers are very interested in generative AI. The advertising world and the creative world is very interested in generative AI. I think as marketeers, we need to be interested in all four, because all four are going to play a role in changing our world. So okay, we get the concept, but what is it really? I use mathematical worlds and neural networks. What is that? And this is key to marketeers to understand. Throughout history, we used to live in a world where we took an input, and then an algorithm, or let's call that expertise, was used on this input to derive an output. So an example, a client gives you a brief, input. We gather the team and we do a brainstorming session, expertise. Output is the pitch. Make sense? Awesome. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning is flipping the formula around. It's actually taking the input and then only taking past outputs associated with this input, putting it into machine learning, and then the expertise is the solution. Example, it's hard to understand, but bear with me. Example, customer gives you a brief. Input. I've been receiving briefs as an agency for the past 50 years. Great. I have a lot of input. Guess what? For the past 50 years, I've also developed pitches based on those briefs. I have a lot of output. So let me take all my historical briefs, associate them with all my historical pitches, and put them into a computer model, put them into AI. And guess what? Now I have an AI model that understands my business. I don't need to brainstorm. I know it's a stretch, but today, if I do that, I can get a new brief from a new customer that I've never worked with before, and a brief that mentions things that I've never done before. Put it into the model, and guess what the model will spit out at me? I'll get a pitch. I'll get a pitch based on everything I've done in the past. And this pitch will not rely on just things from the past. This pitch will start creating new ideas. It will understand my creative process, and it will be able to create new. Because a lot of people, I hear them say, oh, with AI, aren't we just regurgitating everything that we've trained the model for? No, we're not. The model can learn. The model can adapt. The model is now creative. That is the power of AI. So, search has fundamentally changed with machine learning. And the idea is that targeting, bidding, the creative and measurement process is all now conducted on it. So in the past, we used to say, pizza, enter. That was the input. The logic was Google's.com's expertise in saying, okay, I know what he's looking for, pizza. Let's show him pictures of pizzas, websites for pizzas, and stores that sell pizza. And then I went to the advertiser and said, every time you get a click, you pay me $5. Thank you very much. Boom. I've done my business for the past 20 years. In the future, not in the future, actually, it's available today. This is how we run search today. It's dynamic. It's millions of signals. It's not just pizza. It is pizza, but it is also the user's browsing history. Does he like sourdough? Does he usually look for organic? Is he gluten or she gluten-free? It's the browser and the operating system he's using or she's using. It's the day of the week that they're searching. It's their demographics, how old they are, where they're from. It's how many times they've returned. It's the time of day. Is it at night? Is it in the morning? You can imagine how that changes the results. What device are they using? Where are they? What's their location? Millions and millions of signals are informing that search. That's why no two people in the world can search for the same thing and get the same result, or search for the same thing and get the same advertising. So what used to be a pitch saying that in the past we used to run marketing with keywords, today we run marketing with outcomes. So you tell me what you want, what are you targeting, and tell me what you need. I have $1,000 budget a day, and I want as many conversions as possible. That's what you tell me. And you let machine learning, because we have looked at our historical data of what campaigns people have run, what bids they've run, what words they've searched, how much they got conversions, how much eyeballs, how many clicks. And we build an AI model, and we now offer that AI model to you. And that's the new world. Tell me about what your outcome is. Don't tell me how many clicks and what words. That was the old way. That was when we relied on expertise to reach an outcome. Today, we no longer rely on expertise. Expertise is actually built into the AI model. AI isn't new. I know many of you are thinking, wow. To be honest, 10 years ago, Google has already worked with AI, and AlphaGo was beating, the world champion. But remember the second half of the chessboard? So from 2015 to 2025, 10 years, we were in the first half of the chessboard. My theory, my posit is in the next 10 years, we're going to be in the second half of the chessboard. And the second half of the chessboard is going to be massive, which is why it's important we start thinking about reading, changing our skills, changing our missions, changing our teams, changing the way we address our goals as marketeers in this world. All right, so many of you throughout the years have used Google Translate. It's been available for more than 10 years. It's been using AI the whole time, right? Like going to a stop sign in a different country, automatically it can be translated in different letters. And notice how, even though exit is 4 letters, in different languages are multiple letters, but it's able to mimic the same kind of font in different languages with different sizes. So for those graphic designers out there, you'd really appreciate the power of AI here. And this has been running for 10 years. Google Photos, more than 10 years. I've been using it, certainly. It was able to read our photos, and you can search by dog, glacier, sports car, and you'll get all your photos. And it can tell when a baby is born until they're an adult, that's the same person across all your photos. You just name them once, and boom, you've got them. Even pets, it can identify pets. This has been running for many, many years. YouTube, AI has been used in YouTube to drive the recommended or play next algorithm. And guess what? Today, 70% of what's played on YouTube globally, isn't searched for. 70% of watch time is driven by this algorithm. That is amazing, because people are watching from their home page. Over the last 3 years alone, we've grown watching from your homepage 20 times larger. So that means you're not even coming in and searching for anything. You just open YouTube and start watching. That's the power of AI. But in the past, AI was around prediction. People that bought Pampers also bought formula for their babies. People that watched this show also enjoyed this show. So that's prediction, classification. This is a cat, this is a dog, and understanding. Today, AI is moving into generation, and that has huge effects on the creative process. So it's a paradigm shift. We're moving to these large language models that are creating, and the idea is that they can create, they can summarize, they can discover, they can automate, they can converse. So text generation at the click of a button. We've all seen it. Hopefully we've all used it. What's the implications for copywriters? The generation of a picture at the click of a button. So if a picture is worth 1,000 words, why not both? So here, I created this picture of a camera and text, 1,000 words apparently, by Vertex AI, using AI. So what's the implications on photo shoots? If I can create a dog wearing yellow sunglasses and a cowboy hat riding on a scooter in New York, how does that change our photo shoot budget? So creating with GenAI has moved from images, and now we're seeing music, and we're seeing video, and very good video, I must say. I don't know if you've seen the 30-second ad that was created entirely by AI. If you haven't, I highly recommend that you look it up. It's mind-blowing. So AI is going to change the way we create. We're creative. It's going to change the way we create content. Think of simple things like multi-channel marketing. Like today, there's armies of graphic designers and design studios, changing a picture or a logo to fit a Huawei phone, to fit an Apple iPhone, to fit a Chrome browser, to fit a Linux machine, to fit a Windows machine, and to fit an Apple machine. All that can be automated now with AI, right? Personalization and media performance. And also insights management, like how do we measure our return on investment? All of that is up for AI. So today, 70% of Google advertisers are now using Google Ads auto bidding strategies. So why bid when you can auto bid? So advertisers are seeing an uplift, 23%. That's the kind of changes you can see in CPC. That's the kind of changes you can look at conversion when you start using AI, because guess what? AI is smarter. Oh, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. AI can be smarter than human reasoning and human thinking. No matter how much years of experience you have, you can't have as much as AI. AI can take in entire libraries. AI can take in the entire internet. AI can digest unbelievable amounts of text, pictures, and videos. You can't. You are a human with a limited brain capacity, and you work in teams because you have a limited brain capacity, and you need your team to help you, and you brainstorm. But how many people can you brainstorm with? Yes, you can crowdsource it. You can go internet. You can come up with wild ideas when you scale to 1,000 people, 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people. But how much can you scale to? Right, you can infinitely scale. So with that, I would love to see if there's any questions. We need change. Change is here at our doorsteps. AI is going to change the world, and you are on the right path if you've attended this Power Hour, because you are one of the early folks that are interested to stay updated, stay in the know, and adopt to change. You're not scared of change. Anybody that says, no, that's not how we do business, they're scared. That's a sign of fear. And they use the word how. Be careful of the word how. If you reply and say, no, but we're here too, because We want to, drive change, get people more healthy, grow, have a cleaner environment, whatever your brand promise is, you remember your brand promise and you work towards that. That's your why. And that will keep you up and alive and kicking and disrupting others and growing on their behalf. So before we jump into demo, any questions, please feel free to send me a comment. I hope you found this interesting. In the meantime, I will download some files and I will show you what we can do with AI. I'm going to actually create a podcast around ABG, around the advertising business group, and find out what it's all about. So do we have any questions? Carl, what are your thoughts on which direction copyright goals should head into? Oh, Carl, that is such a loaded question. My God. I, as an employee of my employer, I can't comment. As Basil, I think it's a loaded question. It's really interesting because we're at the cutting edge of technology. We are using past data to train AI models. When I say we, I mean humanity. And AI models are creating new content. So I think the argument that, hey, you used my data to train your AI model, and therefore you've abused my copyright, it's kind of weak. Because if you start thinking about the AI model as, now we're talking in the tech world on agents, AI agents. And AI agents are like employees. So when you hire somebody to your agency, to your team, you're hiring them because of their experience, because of their education, because of their knowledge. But guess what? How did they acquire that knowledge? Were they born with it? I'm sorry to tell you, my brother just had twins. They know nothing. So these humans were exposed to copyrighted material their whole lives to gather their knowledge and expertise. And this is my personal opinion. I repeat, this is my personal opinion. So if humans are exposed to data as they grow and learn how to crawl, walk, dance, jump, sing, create, copyright, is any of their work truly original? Well, until now, we said yes. They thought about this new slogan for my company. They came up with this logo. But how were they able to come up with their logo? They came up with their logo by being trained on past data. Because when they were babies, they weren't able to come up with that logo. They can only come up with that logo today. Because guess what? They've seen 1,000 logos growing up in their lives. And the people that are exposed to more logos in their lives have more expertise in their life, more knowledge in their lives, and they can create better logos, hopefully. That's exactly how AI agents work. So is it copyright infringement? I personally, and I repeat personally, don't think so. Gina, please, could you get a copy of today's presentation? And feasible to invite you to do sessions for our group. Who are your group, Gina? I'm more than happy to help out. So please add me on LinkedIn. I get a lot of invites and I don't like to add complete strangers. So just add a tiny note saying ABG Power Hour. And then I'll accept you, Gina, and we can chat on LinkedIn. Given your vantage point on AI innovation, how do you see, this is from a LinkedIn user. I don't know your name, sorry. How do you see the competitive landscape evolving over the next decade? Oh my God, anybody that can tell you anything about the next decade, don't trust them. You can, like, today it's hard to, in the I call it the post-Trump world, without getting political, but it's hard to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone the next decade. Who are the key players to watch, and what will define leadership in AI beyond just large language models? That's a great question. So the key players, I think, are well known today. We have the large ones, Meta. We used to call them FANG, right? Meta is a big player. Google is a big player. Microsoft and OpenAI are big players. But also, Elon Musk has started an AI company. Europe recently has gone big on AI due to their sovereignty concerns and the fact that they don't want to be beholden to the US. In the Middle East, I've worked personally in my current employment with companies like TII that are creating the Falcon language model. Companies like Al-Fanar in Qatar, they've created their own Arabic language model called Al-Fanar, where they collaborated with the Ministry of Technology and Islamic Affairs and the libraries that are available in Qatar Foundation. In Saudi with Sadaya, they're creating and fine-tuning their own language model. So it's really empowering to see so much investment locally in the Middle East, specifically in Saudi, Qatar, and the UAE, on Arabic, cultural, Islamic language models. It's amazing to see that. So I would keep my eye out on the smaller players, because with disruption, and we saw it with DeepSeek, right? We saw it with the Chinese. They could come in, use a different approach, and remember that 2 billion increase that I spoke about, the second half of the chessboard? That 2 billion increase happens by usually not the prominent players. It usually happens by the smaller players that are on a budget, that don't have the money to use the billions of GPUs that are required, that don't have the data available all across the internet. So they come up with innovative ways of addressing the challenge. And I believe, that's what is going to be, not in the next decade. I do not profess to know anything whatsoever about the next decade, but I say the next 1 or 2 years. The smaller players are going to disrupt the larger players, in my opinion. Thank you, Katrina. Katrina's going to ping Gina and Muhammad Hassan. Thanks for your awesome question. Any other questions? I think we have 10 minutes. If you bear with me, this has not been rehearsed. Let me try to show you something, okay? So I'm going to open a new tab and share this tab instead. Please let me know. You're seeing now a brand new tab, right? Yes, you are. Perfect. So I'm going to search for a tool called Notebook LM, okay? Any of you can search for it. I'll click on the first hit, and then I will say try Notebook LM. For those of you doing this at home, you might need to log in. I'm already logged in with my Google account. So I'm going to create new, and this is a new notebook. So I'm going to choose files. And guess what? I asked Katrina from ABG to send me the ABG credentials. So that's one file. And then, I see you've also sent me a document, Katrina. Right? So this is a document that the ABG sends out to its potential sponsors. I will need to make this a PDF. So bear with me as I turn it into a PDF, because Notebook LM does not read docs. So here I've opened it in Google Docs, and I'm gonna not make it copy. I want to download it into a PDF. There we go. So I've downloaded it into a PDF now. I'm gonna go back to Notebook LM and add that PDF that I just shared. There we go. Open. Okay. Now, as you can see, when I click on Add in Notebook LM, I can add sources in PDFs, text, audio. I can add Google Drive documents. I can add links to websites and to YouTube. And I can just paste text. Let me add a YouTube video. Let's see, youtube.com. Boom. And what are we going to do with youtube.com? Can we see ABG Power Hour? Is that on YouTube? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like I said, I'm searching as we are all, so it's not on YouTube now. I'm going to search for marketing and AI. I'm going to search for a video that talks about marketing and AI. Here we go. How AI is changing. What will happen to marketing in the age of AI? There's a TED Talk. Okay, let's vote. Who do you think has a better TED Talk, there, Jessica or me? So I'm going to just take this link of this TED Talk that I have not watched, right? Pause. I'm not going to watch it now. And I'm going to put it into Notebook LM. You guessed right. Where's my Notebook LM? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, it's right there. Share the step and steps so you know what I'm saying. So here, I'm going to click on YouTube and I'm going to add a YouTube link. That video that I just searched for. Never watched it in my whole life. So now we've got 3. Okay? Now, look at this. I have 3 sources. Let's start talking to them. Are you ready? What is ABG? So I am now not using an LLM that is consumer-facing, that queries the entire internet. I am now using Notebook LM and only these 3 sources. So this is grounded. There's no hallucination. It's referenced. Based on the sources, the Advertising Business Group is a central platform for advertisers, agencies, and media owners in the Middle East. Its mission is to foster. Its vision is to lead. And the scope of work is standards advocacy, knowledge and capability building. That's what we're doing right now, as well as community building and networking, dispute resolution. All right. Now, what you can also do is imagine I'm sitting for an exam. I can create a study group. And Notebook LM has just immediately looked at my 3 sources, watched them, read them, and created a study group for me. Here's a quiz that it's given me. Here are some essay questions it's asking me. Here's a glossary of terms that I need to learn. And here's the answers. Isn't that cool? Now, if you don't think that's cool, you might think that the briefing document is cool, or the frequently asked questions is cool, or the timeline is cool. Imagine having like 100 sources of what happened in World War II, right? And then you put them in there, and then you say, create a timeline, and it will create a timeline for you. Isn't that so cool? So the timeline, oh, sorry, I clicked on timeline already, didn't I? Yes, I did. Let's see. So sorry, this is FAQ. So what is the core mission? What are the key? How does ABG benefit its members? How does ABG leverage international partnerships? I was talking to Katrina earlier, and she said, our website is outdated, and I need to upgrade. I just haven't found the time. Guess what, Katrina? You can now copy this and paste it into your website's FAQ. You can copy this bit, or probably take them into sections and create a website. You've got all the content now. But what I wanted to show you is this. Because if you're like me, text and reading, our brains are just overloaded. So I learn when I'm driving. I learn when I'm in an airplane. I'm just sitting there with headphones in my ears. So this has just taken those 3 sources and created a podcast for me to listen to. And I hope this works. Please let me know if you
feeling like you're constantly playing catch up with the speed of change in advertising, especially with AI.
Can you hear?
Sort of entering the picture.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone there.
It's a lot to process, isn't it? And we know you want the important stuff, the real takeaways, without getting, bogged down in endless information.
That's one part.
That's precisely what this deep dive is all about today.
Exactly. Today, we're really zeroing in on the key shifts that are reshaping the advertising and marketing world.
Right.
We're focusing specifically on the Middle East, but also looking at the transformative power of artificial intelligence more broadly.
Okay, so to get a handle on this, we've got, a really interesting combination of perspectives.
And look at this.
This is in beta. We'll be unpacking the credentials and...
I'm just going to click here. I need to allow this time. Sorry, I had to allow my microphone to work.
Feeling like you're constantly playing catch up with the speed of change in advertising, especially with AI, sort of entering the picture.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone there.
It's a lot to process, isn't it? And we know you want the important stuff, the real takeaways, without getting, bogged down in endless information. That's precisely what this deep dive is all about.
And I see
exactly. Today, we're really zeroing in on the key shifts
isn't AI indirectly competing with humanity on
we're focusing specifically on the Middle East, but also looking at the transformative power of artificial.
So I click on join. Our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Yes, thanks for letting me join in. I had a question on my mind. Isn't AI competing directly with humanity for resources?
Oh, absolutely. We're so glad you chimed in. What's been on your mind? We're all ears.
Yes, please do share. We really value your...
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
So the idea is that, is AI directly competing with humanity for power and water?
That's a really fascinating and important question. It touches on some of the broader societal implications of AI.
It definitely gets you thinking about the big picture. While our focus today is specifically on AI's impact within the advertising and marketing world, that concern about resources and potential competition is something many people are considering as AI evolves.
When we look at how AI is being discussed in the context of business and technology,
speak to them.
The emphasis is often on
you can interrupt them and speak to them, and they will answer your
drive
questions.
Innovation.
Right, like in that TED Talk we were about to get into, the speaker talks about AI as this huge potential productivity revolution for marketers.
Exactly. The conversation there is more about how AI will change the way we work, the kind of content we create, and the strategies businesses will use.
We are at the top of the hour. For those of you that are interested to learn more, please add me on LinkedIn and just type a note calling ABG Hour. I'd love to carry the discussion online with you. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. Huge thanks to ABG. They have done an amazing job. And thank you so much for all your participation and questions and your time. I know we live in a difficult world. We're all super busy. I'm sure your WhatsApps and your emails and your SMSs and your calls are piling up, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day, and we will talk soon.